Joining me now to discuss all of this is David Stockman. He's a former director of the Office of Management and Budget under President Ronald Reagan. David, thank you for joining us on the Chris Salcedo Show.
Glad to be with you. And I'll have to say, I've been at this since the 1960s, and I'm with Rand Paul. This is the mother of all fiscal abominations. I have never seen anything this outrageous, this unnecessary, this ill-considered. And the worst thing is the Republicans are just as culpable for this as the Democrats. There were 6 lonely senators, including Rand Paul last night, who voted no. 47 apparently voted for more socialism. Okay, there were 150 House members who voted for it. Now, here's the thing. We have already passed 4 everything bailouts. We've got coast-to-coast soup lines for anything you can imagine. Add this on top, $900 billion, you got $4.4 trillion. And here's the thing I'll bet your listeners don't even begin to fathom, and that is, yes, there's been a lot of damage to the economy, but if you take the total loss of wages and salaries since the February level, before this whole COVID lockdown thing hit, we've had a $300 billion loss of wages and salaries. We've appropriated $4.4 trillion to fix the problem, 15 times more. These people are out of their minds. This thing is out of control. And the worst thing is, you mentioned, the next thing down the pike is UBI, Universal Basic Income. We have it here through the back door. These helicopter checks are going to 90% of the public, $160 billion. That's on top of the $300 billion that went last time. In theory, you could have $150,000 a year family, top 5%. with 2 kids getting $2,400 from a bankrupt Uncle Sam with $27 trillion in debt already. What are they thinking? This is just a test run. And here, I want to tell you, the worst thing is, you know who were the 2 culprits that pushed the second round of helicopter payments in? It was the raving right-wing so-called Republican Josh Hawley from Missouri, teaming up with the real socialist Bernie Sanders. Now, when
he wanted Hawley and Sanders wanted another $1,200. David, what would your former boss Ronald Reagan say about all of this? I mean, it's amazing.
I never saw him lose his temper. I never saw him get really angry, but this would do it. I mean, this is over the top. This is a violation, really, of everything Republicans have ever stood for the last 60 or 80 years since, the New Deal, for crying out loud. And where were they? The problem today is the Republican Party is lost. They defaulted on their fundamental job to be the watchdog of the Treasury, to keep our money sound and to let free enterprise capitalism thrive. If you want to put people back to work and income back in their paychecks, open up the economy. Go after the unconstitutional violations that have come from all the blue state governors and blue state mayors. And the worst thing about this bailout is that it's bailing out Governor Cuomo. It's bailing out Whitmer in Michigan. It's bailing out Governor, and I call him Governor Newsom. In California, he's nuking his own economy. And so,
David, and they're just getting, those guys are just getting warmed up. Americans, they see a 6,000-page bill. They passed with nobody reading the thing. It's their money. It's their children's money. They're incredibly frustrated, but there is a new crop of GOP members, and these are people who supported President Trump. They kind of took the best of sort of the Trump philosophy and ran with it this year. They got elected. Do you see some hope that we're going to have some actual fiscal conservatives who are going to be making policy here come January?
I sure as heck hope so, because this is the last shot. In the next 4 or 5 years, if we don't get a huge turnaround in the Republican Party, a purging of all these swamp creatures. And let me point out, their leaders today, McConnell in the Senate, McCarthy in the House, have been on the government payroll their whole life. You know, 90 years on the government payroll between them. They don't know what it's like to run a business out there. They don't know what people in flyover America are really facing. So let's get rid of them. And last night, a leader for the future appeared. Rand Paul was brilliant. The speech said exactly what needed to be said. He said, you free money Republicans have got to wake up. This is shameful what you've done. So my great hope is that once this election is, resolved, which it will be, and we get 4 years of this,
David, we're having a little bit of audio issues with you. I want to thank you. We're out of time, but I really enjoyed having you. David Stockman, former director of the Office of Management and Budget for President Ronald Reagan. Thank you very much for being here on the Chris Salcedo Show.